Welcome back to the campaign one-on-one video series. For those, if this is your first video, my name is Cory King. I'm the executive director of the Bath-Brunswick Regional Chamber, and these interviews are something that we do with all the Statehouse candidates for all of the communities within our 16 community chamber region. And so I do need to put a disclaimer out that the chamber does not endorse any candidate for Statehouse seats. But actually, I've been accused before of having favoritism. Not favoritism, but I genuinely like a lot of the candidates that I talk to. So this is going to seem pretty laid back and personable, and that's because I'm a pretty laid back and personable guy. So with that, get to meet Harold. Harold Eames, how are you, sir?
Yes, top of the world, thank you. How are you
Good,
doing,
good.
Corey? Happy Friday to
Thank
you.
you. I just want to say thanks for joining us. I know it's incredibly busy time this close to the election, and I appreciate you carving out a few minutes to talk to us.
Yes, yeah, you're very welcome.
So, as you know, Harold, we're going to go through 5 questions. I try to ask each of the candidates the same questions just to keep it fair. But honestly, depending on your answers, we might go deeper into one of your answers or whatever, and as we are wont to do. So, but with that, the first question is an easy one. What district are you running for, and where does that cover?
Yes, I'm running for District 50, and that's Bath, Maine. Yeah,
It's the easiest district that is in our chamber market. Like, where is it? Bath, but where else? Bath. Does that
Bath,
include all of Bath? Yes.
yeah,
That's,
the
that's
city of
great.
Bath. Yeah.
Great. So, hey, question two. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you're running for office.
Yes, I've lived in Bath my whole life, the Bath area. Born in at Bath Memorial Hospital, 1968.
Like,
Um, Lived in the city of Bath for a few years, and then my parents relocated to Arousik, and that's where I was brought up. Attended Bath school system. Um, and my on my dad's side, we actually have been here since the 1750s, up in North Woolwich. Um, and Before that, we came from Massachusetts and in 17. Uh, they let's see, John and Robert Eames departed from Dorset, England in 1634
uh,
and came to Massachusetts. Yeah. And so we've been here for a while on my dad's side. So yeah,
that's
we're Mainers. Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say Bath boy, Mainers through and through.
right through
Uh,
and through. Yeah.
what what's some of your background?
I'm a journeyman pipefitter welder by trade. I'm a, a family man. I love my wife, my little girl, my parents, my sister, my sons, my whole family. I'm very family oriented. Yeah. I'm a journeyman pipefitter welder by trade. I professionally have traveled around the country for about 20 years before I hooked up with Bath Iron Works, General Dynamics. I love being home, and that's primarily why I sought employment there. Uh, I've I've been on tour, so to speak. That's what they say in the trade. Uh, let's see, 15 different states I've worked in. I've done the nuclear powerhouses, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, microchip plants, refineries, things like that. And so I'm happy to be back in Maine where it's safe, it's beautiful. We have a nice benign climate. We don't have a lot of natural disasters. We don't have poisonous things, snakes, insects, you know. So good, nice, honest people with a lot of integrity, traditional family values. Yeah, so it's nice. It's good to be back. Yeah. No traffic jams.
Except unless you're driving through Bath at 3:30.
Yeah.
And even that one's like 15 minutes. Or the
Right.
Wiscasset Bridge if you hit it the wrong time in the summer. Anyway,
Right.
um, question three, kind of the big question. What are the top three issues affecting Mainers right now that you look forward to working on if elected?
Yes, I see a potential safety issue. We had a gun incident in Bath a couple of weeks ago, and people need help. Apparently, the man had mental issues, He needed help. I think it was possibly overlooked. Um, I think he should have been approached early on because from what I understand, it wasn't the first time there was some kind of incident. Um, let's see, people driving and typing on their telephones. I see it all the time. It's a real safety problem. The swerving, I see vehicles swerving a lot. So we need something in place to try to keep people on our roadways safe. The condition of the roadways is something that needs some attention. They're deteriorating. We pay a lot of taxes compared to the average wage base in the state. The taxes are fairly high. We need the people of Maine need more for their tax dollars than what they're currently getting. What I've witnessed. Like I've stated, I've worked all over the country,
Mm.
and nationwide, the infrastructure is being neglected. Some places much more severely than others. Chicago is really bad. They have some of the worst roads I've ever driven over anywhere in the world. And so, but the place that I live is fairly well maintained. We have a few bumpy streets, but um, the the streets overall are fairly well maintained. Um, the subterraneous piping in Bath, we have 51 and a half miles of subterraneous drainage pipe in the city that needs attention. They've been picking at it, but we have a very large budget in Bath. We have something like in excess of $200 million every 10 years. We have over $20 million a year as a budget. And so we could see better improvement in our infrastructure in the little city that we live in. The maintenance of it, everything needs to be maintained, and if it's neglected, it crumbles and people suffer because of it. So, you know.
Great. No, conditions of the road. I mean, you can talk about a lot of main communities for that, and it's
Right,
the infrastructure is such a I mean, the highway system was built in the 50s, and
right,
a lot of these bridges and stuff, and it's like some of
right,
them have gotten the care and the upkeep that they need,
right,
but so often they haven't, and there's a myriad of reasons for that. And some of it is the cost, and some of it is not having the labor to do the work, and that
right,
sort of thing. But you can't keep kicking that can down the road. You've got to address that and
right.
make sure the tax dollars are going to the things that we need. And
Mhm.
see some of these reports of hey, 30% or 40% of people can't have an unexpected $500 bill come in their budget, and
Right,
you wreck your tires or you crack an axle on some of these potholes and stuff. Like
Mhm. Well, alignments,
that can have a cascading effect on a family's budget.
yes, when you have to go to the repair shop for alignments repeatedly, and other things, it can cause your vehicle to veer out of control on an icy road.
Mhm.
It can have a cascading effect. And so I'm a big proponent of is if there's a problem, nip it in the bud, fix it before it metastasizes, before it matriculates into something bigger that's more expensive. It takes longer to repair. Uh, it more expensive because typically if you have to do something that should have been nipped in the bud when it was much more cost effective to fix it early on, that it grows into something big and much more expensive. And then, you know, some people could be injured because of the neglect. And neglect is typically in place because of expense, you know, and I'm a proponent of fixing it early so that it isn't expensive later on.
Right.
Uh,
And another
Identifying the problems and then addressing it and getting rid of the problem there, that way it doesn't exist. So to
and
me,
then
it's pretty simple
then
stuff,
you put your focus on the next problem.
right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, it's pretty simple stuff, really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, and it is. And put everybody behind the curtain. Harold and I were talking prior to recording, and one of the things that you were telling me about too was the trades and your background, in the
Yes.
trades and that career pathway and the need for that right now. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, we need there's a lot of areas. Well, what we were talking about earlier, before the recording is it's difficult to have a modern society without the trades present. You need good qualified tradesmen, professionals in the trade. That's carpentry, pipe fitting, plumbing, steam fitting, uh, let's see, electricians, iron workers, and they have to be adequately trained. And I'm a strong proponent of apprenticeship programs. I'm a graduate of one myself, and it gives the presence of qualified personnel. They're not jerry-rigging things, so to speak. Everything is done according to a certain code. Codes were developed for the safety of the citizenry of wherever they live. The code needs to be adhered to, and it always is. If you have a non-professional in the trade and they're not really code savvy, so to speak, they cut corners. So sometimes cut corners are cut because of expense, but you really shouldn't cut the corners because safety is always jeopardized when corners are cut. And safety is the primary reason that codes were developed in the first place for safety. And so, and that feeds into the safety part of, you know, if they cut corners and safety. And so, the the average wage in Maine isn't really what it should be to sustain a person or a family uh, because of the cost of living in Maine. Uh, but in the trades, when you're a graduate of an apprenticeship program and you're licensed, then your income goes up a lot and your benefits increase a lot and you're much more able to provide for yourself and your family. You can live fairly comfortably. And the work isn't necessarily easy, mentally or physically. However, it is really good, honest work. And it makes you feel really good when you're part of something that flourishes. I enjoy it.
Well, and it's rewarding for the community too. I mean, like you said, you can't, something happens to your toilet,
Yeah.
a social media influencer or blogger is not going to fix that. You need a plumber for that. I mean,
You need a
there's,
plumber, and you need one
I
who
mean,
knows what
if
he's
you
doing.
don't have these trades, you can't build houses. You can't
Right,
renovate. You can't start businesses.
right, right.
They're an essential piece to our growing economy. So, uh,
Yes, yeah. The trades have been overlooked, and I feel neglected in some places. But they're an essential, viable, integral part of maintaining, building and maintaining modern civilization, which everyone enjoys.
yeah. All right, here, question number four. If voters could only know two things about you before they fill out their ballot, what would those two things be? I'll tell you, I've also phrased this question to people saying, if after you knock on someone's door and meet them, what are the two things you hope they remember as you walk back down the driveway?
Well, I'm just a regular everyday kind of guy.
Yep,
I value honesty, integrity. I'm a man of my word. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do my darndest to get it done and done right.
yep,
In that way, it won't have to be revisited because it will, the integrity part of it. Cutting corners, I don't like to cut corners. I like to make sure it's done right. You go the extra mile to verify,
yep.
it's done right. And that's in every facet of my life, not just my work, but everything. I think it kind of rubbed off in the apprenticeship program that I attended. Um, I hold traditional Maine family values very dear. I think it's very important to remain within the parameters of those values. If we deviate therefrom, things tend to crumble and deteriorate. And so that again requires maintenance, you know? And so I think that's very important.
That's great. Harold, before I ask you the last question, is there anything that I didn't ask about that you'd like to just share with us? And it doesn't have to be anything, but I like to just ask people if there was something that you didn't have a chance to say that you wanted to say.
Uh, let's see. Yeah, I just I think we need to get back to um the Constitution. We need to the Constitution of our great land is the supreme law of the land. And what we've witnessed over the last 20 to 30 years, at least, I think, is a growing disregard for our Constitution. And I think it's part of, well, actually more of a major component of why things are deteriorating in our society, and it needs to be addressed. From what I've read over the course of a few years, is all of these different statutes that have the appearance of law that are repugnant to our Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. If they're repugnant to the Constitution, then they're declared null and void. And I read where that was actual case law, Marbury versus Madison. And so we have a lot of things on the books that really aren't American values because they're not in line with the Constitution. Um, in the state of Maine also, one of which is ranked choice voting. The state of Maine Constitution states one man, one vote. We have one man, one ballot, several votes on one ballot. That is unconstitutional. It's and so it isn't really a legal thing. It's an illegal thing. It's repugnant to the Maine Constitution. And so I think it needs to be repealed.
Yep. Yep. No, that's oh, I want to keep this video short for you so not as many people watch it. But if you want to talk to Harold more about that, let's get to question number 5. What is the best way for people to connect with you or find out more about you as a candidate?
Yes, there's a email. It's a KMEHAE3 at yahoo.com.
Say it one more time. KM.
KMEHAE3 at yahoo.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Harold, wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
And my
making the
pleasure,
time for
Cory.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I hope to talk to you real soon.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Cory. Have a nice weekend.
Hey, thanks. You as well.